Hi guys, today I would like to make a little video on what I perceive a big mistake is that language learners make or something that they're not aware of, okay? I'm talking about learning the language versus learning the language with its culture in mind. Now, what do I mean by that? Imagine you're opening an app and you start studying a language. The app usually gives you a sentence in your native language or in English and you translate it. Okay? The translation is one-on-one and there's no context. It's just a sentence. So your head thinks this sentence means this in the foreign language. This isn't incorrect, but I think there's so much more to this than the simple A means B or B means A in another language. So, for example, if you've ever been to an Asian country, you might have noticed that there are lots of ways that people behave differently, and it is appropriate to respond in different ways, to express things with different phrases and words. If you don't know at all what I mean, and even if you do, let's have a look at some examples. For example, in Japan, when somebody makes you a compliment, you would say, oh, thank you. Yeah. You would have an English conversation. Hey, your Japanese sounds so good right now. Maybe that's a bad example. Okay, so maybe, hey, that was a nice meal that you cooked. If you received a compliment in a Western country, you would just say, thank you so much. I'm glad you liked it. Now, if you're in Japan, the appropriate answer to this would be, yeah. そんなことないです. So like, no, it's really not like that. Why is this? Because this is a natural way of how the culture works in Japan. If someone praises you, it's a given, it's natural, that's what you do. You say, no, that's not the case. Yeah? And I think this is where a lot of language learners can be lacking something. They can be lacking this cultural part, this fire, how the language lives, okay? So instead of learning, okay, this is a compliment, they say yes, thank you, they learn it in another language. It doesn't work this way. Another example with Japanese would be the word goodbye. Well, the dictionary will tell you sayonara, because this is the literal, translation of it. But nobody ever says this. It's so rare to hear this in Japan. Believe me. Instead, people will just say mata ne, like later, or just thank you, arigatou gozaimasu, otsukaresama deshita, which translates into thank you for your hard work or something like this. It's an expression that English or Western languages don't have, okay? So what I'm saying by this is you need to understand the culture a bit to be able to express yourself naturally, okay? Basically, we're talking about, how can you become as natural in the way the language works, okay? Now let's take another example because maybe Japanese is too extreme. Let's just take German and English. I'm a German native speaker. You might have seen this on the internet, yeah? In Germany, we don't say, in Germany, people will not say, oh, this is delicious, thank you for cooking. Yeah, they will say, it's not bad. So if you're creating a dialogue where somebody says, hey, your dish is really delicious, and you want the answer of, your maybe American mindset or wherever else you comment the same way to be like, oh, it's really nice. It sounds weird in German. I mean, I'm happy when somebody says it. I've lived abroad for a long time, so I do think it's a nice response, but it's just not something people would naturally hear. So, understanding the register, the level of how exuberant like people are, how much emotion they put into their responses is very important. I would also say, for example, in America, people tend to be more, they tend to speak in greater extremes. Things that are more amazing rather than just good or excellent rather than nice. Whereas German is more toned down. Germans will just say, yeah, that was a nice evening, instead of saying, oh, that was an amazing evening. So this is something you have to pay attention to. Now, how do you learn this? My first answer was go to the country. I will say I've been lucky to be able to go to many countries personally. I understand not everyone has a chance to do so, but I would say it's a big, it's a really good argument for why you should. Because if you do go to the country, you will start picking these things up. Now, mind you, you have to pay attention to these expressions as well. Yeah. Sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I feel like people are not aware that you have to be able to listen to other people, to native speakers, and pick up how they speak and imitate them, imitate their gestures, the sentences they say, and just say them and incorporate them into your own speaking. You might not know why, but you just do that. And that is why a lot of people sound different when they speak another language, because they simply have adopted their Korean self when they speak Korean and their Japanese self when they speak Japanese, because they're trying to, let's say, fit in. I mean, it's such a negative term, but you just want to show that you're appreciative of the culture and that you understand it and that you are following the culture's norms to an extent that feels okay for you, okay? Now, what do you do if you cannot travel to the country? Your best bet would obviously to watch movies, okay? Movies can be great to really showcase you how the culture acts. And this is where it's great when you can understand the native language that they speak in the movie, because it can be difficult with translations to get the same kind of nuance across to the person who watches the movie, okay? Now, what do you think about this phenomenon? Have you noticed how it is? Drop me a comment. I would love to hear from you. Subscribe and share this video with somebody who might enjoy it. Until next time, see you. Bye.